Marcus Cole woke up in chains. The metal was cold against his wrists. Strange symbols glowed along the surface, pulsing with soft blue light. He tried to move, but his arms were locked to the wall behind him. His head hurt. His mouth tasted like copper and dust. The last thing he remembered was his ship dying around him. The engine had failed 3 days into his patrol near the border of mapped space. He had sent out a distress signal. He had waited. Then the lights went out and something pulled his ship into a massive vessel that blocked out the stars. Now he was here, wherever here was. The room looked like it was made of glass. No, not glass, crystal. The walls curved upward into a ceiling that seemed to breathe with inner light. Everything was smooth and pale and beautiful in a way that made Marcus feel like a stain on clean fabric. A door opened. It did not slide or swing. It simply melted away like ice in sunlight, then reformed after 3 figures walked through. Marcus had seen aliens before. Humanity had made contact with 2 other species in the past decade, but he had never seen anything like these creatures. They were tall, very tall. Their bodies were thin and graceful, covered in skin that glowed from within. Soft colors moved beneath their flesh like light through water, blue and silver and pale gold. Their faces were almost human but stretched and refined. Large dark eyes without whites. No nose, just 2 small slits, mouths that were too wide and too perfect. They looked at him like scientists looking at a strange insect. One of them spoke. The words were musical, flowing like a song. Marcus did not understand any of it, but then a device on the wall clicked and a flat mechanical voice translated. The creature is awake. Note the rapid eye movement. Note the tension in the muscle groups. It is afraid. Inefficient. You are alone, creature. You are ours now. The guards were bigger than the scientists. They wore armor that looked like it had grown from their bodies rather than been put on. They unlocked his chains and dragged him through corridors of crystal and light. Marcus memorized every turn, every door, every detail, just in case. They brought him to a room so large it made his chest tight. The ceiling was far above, lost in soft white light. Hundreds of the glowing aliens stood in rows along the walls, all of them watching, all of them silent. At the far end of the room sat a throne made of living crystal. It shifted and changed even as Marcus watched, growing new shapes, dissolving old ones. On the throne sat the oldest alien Marcus had seen yet. His glow was faded, more gray than blue, but his eyes were sharp and cold. The Emperor. It had to be. The guards forced Marcus to his knees. "This is the creature from the unknown vessel," a voice announced. "Species, human, origin world, Earth, status, uncontacted, unaligned, unknown threat level. Its immune system is unusually aggressive. It evolved on what our scientists classify as a Category 12 death world. And yet its species has spread across multiple worlds in a remarkably short time." But he did not let it show on his face. He had learned long ago that predators were drawn to fear. "You want to cut me open," he said loudly. The translator carried his words across the silent room. "Because you are scared of what you do not understand. That is not wisdom, that is cowardice." Enough. Before his ship failed, he transmitted their location to our fleet. They would have died without his help. Is this how we repay such an act? With murder. I apologize for how you have been treated. Do not mistake this for freedom, human. You are still a prisoner. You simply have a more comfortable cage. He did not know if that was better or worse than dissection, but at least he was still alive, and as long as he was alive, he had options. Humans always found options. 3 weeks passed in the Crystal Palace. Marcus learned the name of his captors. They called themselves the Velathi. They had ruled their part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. They had never lost a war. They had never met a species they could not control, and they had never seen a human before. The scientists came every day. They scanned him. They took samples of his blood, his hair, his skin. They made him run on machines and lift heavy objects and solve puzzles while they watched and whispered to each other in their musical language. At first, Marcus refused to cooperate. But he quickly realized that refusing only made things worse. The scientists did not need his permission. They could take what they wanted. So he decided to give them what they wanted and learn everything he could in return. He learned that the Velathi thought he was impossible. "Your skeleton should have collapsed under its own weight," one scientist told him. Her name was Researcher Velith, and she was the only one who spoke to him like a person instead of a specimen. "The calcium density is absurd. Your muscles generate force levels that would tear our tissues apart, and your healing rate is simply not possible. You either get strong or you die." "The impossible human." The paths wound between pools of water so clear they looked like holes in the ground. Marcus walked those paths every day, memorizing the layout, noting the guard positions, planning escapes he might never attempt. It was in the gardens that the princess found him. She appeared on the 7th day, walking beside him as if they had planned to meet. The guards kept their distance but watched closely. "You are thinking about escape," she said. It was not a question. "Always," Marcus admitted. "It is what humans do when we are trapped. We look for ways out. Even if you escaped these walls, where would you go? Sometimes you just have to move and trust yourself to handle whatever comes next. I saw people in trouble. I had the ability to help, so I helped. It is not complicated. That you cannot be trusted. Just like everyone else." They did not understand that he was simply gathering information. But it was not just information he was gathering. He was starting to care about this strange alien princess who treated him like a person. He was starting to understand her. Cyrilvin was lonely. She was surrounded by servants and guards and advisors, but she had no friends. Her mother had died years ago. Her father loved power more than he loved her. The court saw her as a symbol, not a person. She was the future empress, and that meant she belonged to everyone except herself. "There are factions in the court," she told him one evening. "My uncle Caliph leads those who want war and expansion. He thinks my father is weak. He thinks I am worse. He wants the throne for himself. The way your uncle looks at you during court sessions, the way his guards position themselves near your quarters, the way his allies whisper when you pass. These are warning signs. He is planning something. Your uncle is a predator, princess, and you are in his territory. Millions will die. The question is whether they have told your uncle, because if they have not, then he has no idea what is standing between him and you. You kept me alive," he held her gaze. "Humans pay their debts. For everything." The Velathi were gathering for the Festival of Silver Light, an ancient ceremony that brought nobles from across the empire to the throne world. The great hall was filled with hundreds of glowing aliens in their finest robes. Music flowed through the air. Lights danced across the crystal walls. Marcus had been brought as a display. The emperor wanted the visiting dignitaries to see humanity's representative kneeling in submission. It was a show of power, a message that said, "Look what we have captured. Look how small and weak it seems." Marcus did not mind. The princess had asked him to play along. She had told him that in 2 days she would have enough votes in the council to grant him freedom. She would declare him a guest of the empire rather than a prisoner. She would send him home. All he had to do was survive this one ceremony. He knelt on the cold crystal floor near the base of the throne. The empress sat above him, old and gray and proud. The princess sat beside her father, her glow soft silver and blue. She did not look at Marcus, but he knew she was aware of him. The ceremony was long and boring. Speeches were made. Gifts were presented. Marcus let his mind wander, thinking about Earth, about his family, about the life he had left behind. Then the lights went out. It happened all at once. The glowing walls turned dark. The music stopped. For 3 heartbeats, there was nothing but silence and shadow. Then the explosions began. The main doors burst inward, torn apart by weapons fire. Smoke and fire poured into the hall. Aliens screamed and ran in every direction. Through the chaos, Marcus saw figures in dark armor pouring through the ruined doors. They moved with precision, firing into the crowd, cutting down anyone who stood in their way, and at their head walked Lord Caliph. The emperor's brother had thrown away his ceremonial robes. He wore battle armor now, sleek and black, and his glow burned angry red. His voice boomed across the hall, amplified by some hidden device. "The age of weakness ends today. My brother has led us to stagnation and shame. No more, the Velathi will be warriors again. We will take our rightful place as rulers of this galaxy." The emperor rose from his throne, shouting orders that no one could hear over the chaos. His remaining guards formed a wall around him, but they were outnumbered 3-1. They would not last long, and the princess was standing alone. Marcus saw it happen as if time had slowed down. 3 of Caliph's soldiers broke away from the main group. They moved toward Cyrilvin with weapons raised. She stood frozen, her skin flickering with panicked colors, too shocked to run, too scared to fight. The soldiers would reach her in seconds. Marcus did not think. He just moved. He exploded from his kneeling position like a spring released from tension. His legs drove him forward, each step eating up the distance between him and the princess. An alien stepped into his path, and Marcus hit him without slowing down. The impact was brutal. Velathi bones were light, hollow, fragile. The soldier crumpled like paper. The second soldier turned, raising his weapon. Marcus grabbed the barrel and twisted. The weapon discharged into the ceiling. Then Marcus pulled the soldier forward and drove his forehead into the alien's face. Velathi skulls were not built to take that kind of impact. The soldier dropped and did not get up. The third soldier fired. The energy bolt burned past Marcus's shoulder, close enough to scorch his skin. But Marcus was already inside the soldier's guard, already taking the weapon, already bringing it around in a tight arc that ended against the alien's head. 3 soldiers down. Less than 5 seconds, Marcus turned. The princess was staring at him, her eyes wide, her glow almost white with fear. "Get behind me," he said. She did not argue. She moved to his back, pressing close, her hands gripping his arm. Marcus faced the chaos of the throne room. More soldiers were coming. They had seen what he did. They were approaching carefully now, weapons raised, spreading out to surround him. And then Lord Caliph saw them. The would-be emperor strode through the smoke and fire, stepping over bodies without a glance. His red glow pulsed with fury. "The human," he said. "How interesting. I had planned to dissect you myself after I took the throne. But perhaps I will just kill you now and save myself the trouble." But Marcus Cole was not a creature of logic. He was a human, and humans had stopped being logical a very long time ago. He smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was not the smile of a man who expected to win. It was the smile of something that had evolved on a world where death waited around every corner, where survival meant being faster and meaner and more vicious than anything else. It was the smile of a species that had fought its way up from the mud through ice ages and plagues and wars that should have destroyed them. It was the smile of a predator. Every soldier in the room froze. They could not help it. Deep in their brains, in the parts that had evolved millions of years ago, something screamed a warning. Something told them that the creature in front of them was not prey. The creature in front of them was not afraid. The creature in front of them was ready to kill and ready to die and was going to take as many of them with it as possible. Lord Caliph's glow flickered. His weapon wavered. "What are you?" he whispered. Marcus kept smiling. "I am human, and the princess is under my protection. If you want her, you come through me. Can your armor stop someone who has nothing left to lose? By making our enemies understand that fighting us would cost more than we were worth. But are you willing to bet your life on it?" Loyal soldiers who had not been in the throne room when the attack began. They poured through the service entrances, overwhelming Caliph's rear guard, turning the tide of battle. Caliph looked at his soldiers, at the new enemies flooding the room, at the human who stood between him and his prize with that terrible smile. And Marcus saw the moment the would-be emperor realized he had lost. "This is not over," Caliph hissed. "It is for today," Marcus replied. Then the loyal soldiers reached them, and everything dissolved into chaos once more. But through it all, the princess stayed behind Marcus, and Marcus did not move until every threat was gone. The reinforcements changed everything, but the battle was not over. Lord Caliph retreated deeper into the palace with his remaining soldiers. The throne room became a war zone split in half. Loyal guards fought traitors. Energy bolts scorched the crystal walls. The beautiful hall filled with smoke and screaming and the sharp smell of burning. Marcus pulled the princess behind a fallen pillar. It was thick enough to stop weapons fire, at least for now. Around them, chaos swirled like a storm. "Stay down," he told her. "Do not move until I tell you. You will be killed." But he could tell by behavior. The traitors pushed toward the throne. The loyalists pushed back. Marcus stayed low, moved fast, and headed for the knot of fighting around the emperor. A traitor stepped into his path. Marcus shot him in the chest. Another came from the left. Marcus ducked under the energy bolt and tackled the alien to the ground. A quick strike to the throat ended the fight. Human soldiers called it CQB. Close quarters battle, fighting at arm's length where speed and aggression mattered more than technology or training. The Velathi were not built for it. Their bodies were fragile. Their instincts were wrong. When danger came close, they wanted to flee or freeze. They had to fight against their own nature to stand and face a threat. Marcus did not have that problem. He reached the Emperor's guards just as they were about to be overrun. 3 loyalists stood back to back, shields raised, holding off a dozen traitors. They were losing. It was only a matter of time. Marcus hit the traitors from behind. He moved through them like a wolf through sheep. His stolen weapon fired until it was empty, and then he used it as a club. When that broke, he used his fists. The traitors turned to face him, and the loyalists pushed forward, and suddenly the odds were even. The fight was short and ugly. When it was over, Marcus stood in a circle of fallen enemies, breathing hard, blood dripping from cuts on his arms and face. The loyalist guards stared at him with expressions he could not read. "The Emperor," Marcus said. "Where is he? Can you move? I allowed them to study you like an animal. Your daughter showed me kindness when everyone else wanted me dead. Now she matters, and so do you because you matter to her." Marcus in front, the Emperor behind, the loyal guards forming a protective circle around them both. Energy bolts flew past. Explosions shook the floor. Twice Marcus took hits that should have killed him. But human bodies were stubborn things. They kept working even when they should have stopped. They reached the princess just as a new group of traitors broke through the loyalist lines. "Father," Cyril rushed to the Emperor's side, her glow bright with relief. "You are hurt." More loyal soldiers arrived from other parts of the palace. The traitors were pushed back room by room, corridor by corridor. Calith's careful planning had accounted for many things, but he had not accounted for Marcus Cole. The human was everywhere. He rallied retreating soldiers. He held positions that should have fallen. He took wounds that would have killed any Velathi and kept fighting. The traitors began to fear him. They saw him coming and ran. They heard his voice and lost their courage. By the time the twin suns set, the palace was secure. Lord Calith was captured trying to escape through a service tunnel. His soldiers surrendered or died. The coup that should have succeeded, that had been planned for years, that had corrupted half the palace guard, failed because one creature from a death world refused to quit. Marcus was standing in a ruined corridor when the princess found him. He was covered in blood, most of it not his own. He had 17 wounds that the medical scanners could count, including 3 that should have been fatal. He was still holding his weapon, though his hands were shaking. "It is over," she said softly. "You can rest now." Then his legs gave out and he fell. The princess caught him before he hit the ground. He was heavy, so much heavier than he looked, but she held him anyway. His eyes were closed. His breathing was shallow, but he was still alive. "Medical team," she called out. "I need a medical team now." She stayed with him as they carried him to the medical wing. She stayed with him while the doctors worked. She stayed with him through the long night that followed. When the Emperor came to check on them, he found his daughter sitting beside the human's bed, holding his hand, her glow soft gold in the dim light. "He saved us all," she said without looking up. "He does not even know us, and he nearly died to save us. Perhaps we have been looking at humans the wrong way. We saw a threat. We saw something to fear and control." He looked at Marcus lying still and pale on the bed. "But what I saw today was something else, something I do not have a word for." Then he turned and walked away, leaving his daughter to watch over the impossible human who had changed everything. Outside, the twin suns were rising, and in the medical wing, Marcus Cole slept and dreamed of Earth. Marcus woke to soft light and the smell of flowers. He was in a bed larger than any he had ever slept in. The sheets were smooth and cool against his skin. The ceiling above him glowed with gentle colors that shifted like clouds at sunset. For a long moment, he just lay there, trying to remember where he was and how he had gotten here. Then the memories came back. The battle, the blood, the princess hiding behind him while he faced down an army. He tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain flared through his body, sharp and hot. He had been hurt worse than he realized. "Do not move." A familiar voice came from beside the bed. "The doctors said you need at least another week of rest. Your injuries were severe. You could have stayed hidden. You could have let the soldiers take me. No one would have blamed you. You were a prisoner. You owed us nothing. It is not a choice we make. It is just who we are. They are just humans acting like humans. We see someone in danger and something inside us demands that we help. We cannot explain it. We just do it. Am I going to be executed? If you agree." He thought about the stars he had crossed to get here and the battles he had survived. What if I want to go home? People who will tell me the truth. People who will stand beside me when everything falls apart. He thought about Earth and everything he missed. The blue sky, the green forests, the sound of rain on a tin roof, his mother's cooking, his sister's laugh, all the small things that made a place feel like home. But he also thought about the princess, about her kindness, about her courage, about the way she had stood up for him when everyone else wanted him dead. He thought about the empire that stretched across 1,000 worlds, full of people who had never seen a human, who had no idea what his species could do. He thought about what it would mean to stay. To be the first human ambassador in a galaxy that feared his kind. To show them that humans were not just killers and survivors. They were protectors, too. On the 4th day, he called for the princess. She came immediately, her glow flickering with colors he could not read. She stood at the foot of his bed, waiting, her hands clasped in front of her. "I have made my decision," Marcus said. "Tell me. I will help you build something new." Marcus stood at the new empress's side as she took her father's throne. Thousands of Velathi filled the great hall, their glows creating a sea of shifting light. They had come from across the empire to see this moment. The youngest ruler in their history, the first to take power with a human at her side. When the ceremony was complete, Empress Cyrilvin turned to Marcus. Her crown was a circlet of living crystal that shifted with her emotions. Her robes were silver and blue, the colors of her house. She looked powerful and beautiful and just a little bit scared. "The galaxy will learn to fear humanity," she said softly, her words meant only for him. "After what you did, stories will spread. Other species will hear about the human who stood against an army." "The scariest thing in the universe is not a species that knows how to kill," he said. "It is a species that knows how to protect. Give a human something to fight for, something to love, something to defend, and there is nothing in any galaxy that will stop us." "Then I am glad you are on my side, Marcus Cole." He had survived first contact. He had survived a coup and a battle and 17 wounds that should have killed him. Whatever came next, he would face it the same way humans had always faced the unknown, with stubborn courage, with loyal hearts, with the unbreakable will to protect what mattered. And somewhere among the stars, Earth waited, unaware that one of its children had just changed the course of galactic history, not with a fleet of ships, not with weapons of war, just by being exactly what humans had always been: stubborn, loyal, unbreakable, and absolutely terrifying when someone they cared about was in danger.